Men are from Mars and women are from Venus. That is what the popular book on relationships tell us. And what does this mean? It means that both the male and the female species are very different in thoughts, characters, feelings, emotions, everything. So this also means that we both need to do the work of understanding one another so that we can coexist peacefully on the earth. You are welcome to another episode of Chapters, and today we are talking about understanding. Which one? Is it the men understanding the women, or the women understanding the men, or both? Which one do you think it is? We are talking about understanding the male species, how women can understand how men think through the eyes of a book that I have personally come to love, the eyes of the book Manual, The Way Men Think. So I'm sure you guys already know who I'm talking about, none other than the bells ringing. Senior Pastor David's Christian Center, Pastor Kingsley Okonkwo.
Now you're making me shy.
Pastor, you can't be shy. Men are not shy.
Men are not shy.
That one not did this book. Men are not shy.
Thank you.
It is
for
so
having
amazing
me.
to have you. Like, I think it's the highest energy I've had because you are energy. So I said I must bring my energy game to the table. How have you been, sir?
Good. And I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. I am happy to have you. And this book is life. Like I was showing you all my markings. Yeah. It's just amazing. I know that this is what you do. So I mean, when you walked in, someone said the marriage, the marriage pastor. But let's even talk. What led you? You could have, maybe it's a calling, maybe it's just what the special thing God gave you. But what even led you into talking about relationships and marriage? Where did all of this start from?
Wow, good question. And interestingly, I just had a burden for relationships. You know, sometimes that's how we discover our calling. You just find out that you have an interest or a heart or a burden for something. And so those days, whenever I saw a guy and a girl, I was just wondering, hey, are they doing this thing right? You know, are they doing it the right way? Do they have the right information? I just kept, and now, not that I knew I had the information that they needed, but I just knew I had the burden. So one particular year, Valentine's Day was approaching, and I just told my team that I'm so burdened for people. I know Valentine's Day, there's a lot of emotional drama going on. Some people are making bad mistakes. Some people are feeling dejected and lonely because they're not in a relationship. So I just felt, let's do something for people on Valentine's Day. And we fixed the first program. We called it Love, Dating, and Sex. In fact, I had to consult a lot of people because then it wasn't common to have sex on a church flyer. So I had to consult a lot of people that, will it be okay? Will it be okay? And they'd be like, well, church people won't like it, but it will get the attention of the people you're trying to reach. Yeah. So we put it there, and the place was jammed, and it was a great meeting, and it was like a tap, because I didn't know what I was going to do before I got on stage. Yeah, because I didn't really have, you know, there was not much material, apart from people like Pastor Bimbo Dukoya that was teaching relationship, then there was not so much material. Okay,
so now that you mentioned Pastor Bimbo, how many years ago, you know, because sometimes people see and just say, maybe it's just 2 years ago, it just started. How many years ago was this?
This was going to be about 23 years ago, 22 years ago. A long time, yes.
Twalisa.
Yes, a long time.
23 years ago. You've been on this journey for 23 years?
Yes, it's been a long time.
R-E-S-P-C-T. Respect. Which is a chapter in this book, but we'll not jump there now. So I want us to I don't know where to start from, because like I said, I literally marked every part of this book. Your very first chapter talks about men not being relational. Now, the truth is, whether marriages, relationships, the challenges really are that one of the first things you said was, we need to get trained. I looked at that and I said, so we'll go to school again for understanding women. We're already going to school for too many things in the world. I mean, you gave the example of buying a dog and them telling you need to get trained to, and you're like, it's not a trained dog. And I'm sure this is the default mindset for anyone who's thinking, I already have 10,000 things in the world to learn. Why am I learning how to understand a man again? So why is that even important in the first place?
Yeah, because like you mentioned at the beginning, men and women are different. And interestingly, amongst all the other things you're going to learn, your marriage is going to be like one of the most important. It's going to be a great determining factor in terms of how happy or how sad the rest of your life will be. So in the order of priority, I would think that learning about marriage, you know, will be very important. And I tell people all the time, that's why we have successful doctors and that are unsuccessful in marriage. We have successful lawyers that are unsuccessful in marriage because they spend 7 years studying law, 7 years studying medicine or engineering or whatever, and 0 years studying marriage. And I tell people, where you invest is where you harvest. All right? Where you invest is where you harvest. So yes, you are successful in law because you spent 7. Do you know how many books, how many law books, how many books you'd have read in 7 years for law? How many lectures you'd have attended? Then compare that to how many seminars you attended for marriage, how many books you read for marriage. So there's no wonder or there's no surprise why you're highly successful in one and you're struggling in the other.
Truthfully, I've never heard it like that. It puts it in serious context. So I would then ask, how do I start this preparation for marriage? So assuming if you're married, you will start from somewhere. But if you're single, do I start when I'm 15 and I'm already reading relationship books? Or do I start when I'm 23 and I'm thinking I will get married soon? So when do you start?
As soon as you start thinking of the opposite sex. Wow. Whenever you start, it hits you that you will want to keep one of these beings in your life for the rest of your life. You better get a manual. You better start to learn. You learn about yourself, then you learn about the other person.
I love that.
So the moment you start thinking about the opposite sex, you start fantasizing, you start dreaming of marrying one of them, then you better understand that we are totally different. In fact, I don't even think we're the same creatures. That's why that book, Men Are From Mars, that you mentioned, is a good book, because we're never made from the same raw material. Men came from dust, women came from a rib. So that's why men are rugged, women are refined. Men came from dust, and women came from the rib. Rib is one of the most polished bones in a human being's body. And even the Hebrew words for make for men and the one for women are totally two different words. The one for men is just how you mix mud and sand. The one for women is how you do like real fine furniture, artwork. So they're not even the same Hebrew word for the make. So I tell women sometimes, men need you before they love you, and women love you before they need you. So that's what usually happens. So women say, so is that the man doesn't love me? I say, you see, when they were creating, Adam didn't even pray for a wife. It was God that said it's not good for man to be alone. So the whole idea of marriage from the man's end is functionality. He said you need a helper. So a man usually marries somebody he needs. All right? So men are usually transactional with love. So if a man is in love with a woman, he knows why. If a woman is in love with a man, she might not know why. She might just love him. So you see a woman staying with a relationship that is horrible, she should just love him. You see, she first loves before she needs. She loves hoping the man will change. She loves hoping that when I get married, then I'll tell him about my needs. But a man is the right way around. I tell her about my needs first. If she can meet my needs, then I will love. So it happens like that.
I have listened to Pastor Kingsley several times. It's like I've never heard this one before. So as you continue, just go and get like a pen, a paper, your phone. You need to take down notes because already you've said things. I'm just like, gems of life. And let's just start from there. Need, love. So is that why your first thing says men do not think relationally?
Yes.
What does that mean?
A man's first love is his job. That's the first thing a man ever got when he was created.
You said something scary in this book. A man will gladly give up his relationship for his work or his marriage for money.
Yes.
You even heard a story of a couple, several people whose husbands have told them to commit adultery in exchange for money.
Yes, I get that a lot, interestingly. I get that a lot. Men are work-oriented. Every man's first love is his job. We get our sense of identity, our sense of fulfillment from work. So all over the world, you see men that have traveled and left their family somewhere and traveled to work. And you've seen women that have left their work somewhere and traveled to go and stay with family. And I tell women, your job is not to try to compete with his job. What you should do is to try and complement his job. If you try to compete his job, then you are posing as an enemy. You are posing as a threat to his fulfillment. You see, for every action a man and a woman does is based on pursuing a need. Nobody is wicked. Nobody just hurts you for hurting you's sake. No. Everybody acting a certain way is pursuing something or running from something. They are not just, nobody wakes up and says, I want to hurt Toyin today. This is not possible. It's not possible for somebody to sleep and wake up and say, what's your goal? Like Pinky and the Brain. What are we going to do today? Hot Toyin. Nobody does that. But they are either pursuing a need or running away from something. So when you see those struggles happening in the home, the man is feeling, you don't understand how important my job is. And the woman is feeling, you don't understand how my emotions are. And they're just not communicating in the right way or they're not listening the right way. So it looks like we're quarreling. If you check it most times, the issue is not the issue. Whatever the trouble is in the marriage is never the issue. If you go down deep, you find out they're usually based on genuine needs, but not just being well communicated. That's just what's going on.
So you then said here, in fact, this one too deep. You said they are married men, so a man can live the rest of his life without a relationship.
Yes.
However, what he wants is sex.
Yes.
So there are married men who operate in the I just want sex mode.
Yes.
These men enjoy sex in their marriage, but they are not in a relationship with their wives.
Yes.
So how do you get a man to be in a relationship with you?
Oh, good. It's to find out, it's like I said, men and most human beings, nobody's trying to hurt you. I have a full series I did one time titled, It's Not Personal. Nobody's trying to hurt you. We like to feel so, that, oh, this person said this. No, they're not trying to hurt you. They're just expressing a need, a desire. So that's why if you see when a man gets back from work, or sometimes he wants to put on the TV, he wants to play with his phone before he considers relating with his wife. In his mind, relating with his wife is part of work. It's part of work. Oh, wow. Watching TV is relaxing. He's not yet seen talking to his wife as relaxing. Wow. Because for us, emotionally, we don't get replenished when we interact emotionally. We get replenished by space. Women, on the other hand, get replenished when they interact.
Emotionally.
Yes. So you see the problem. So he needs to understand, number one, her needs. Then they both need to now be able to connect at a level that is not just purely emotional all the time. Because he's in his mind, he's equating talking to her as work. So he's going to avoid talking to her, except when he has to. So he needs to see that, no, can we find areas to communicate? And the woman too needs to learn that, can I, learn not to unburden all my emotional force at once and at every time. Yeah. I should be sensitive to the time. If it's already depleted, I can't come and unburden my whole emotions then. I need to sometimes talk to him at his level. So you see, notice that some women hate that their husbands watch football. Wrong. You should watch with him.
Know the captain, know the team.
Yes, you should watch with him.
Coach. In fact, have they scored 3-2?
Exactly. So when I make that mistake, I think my job is to compete. Don't compete. Yeah. Instead, compliment. He will see you more when you are in the picture, as opposed to trying to say, either choose football or choose me. No. No, don't put yourself in that position. Men are not like that at all. So the man's need is not that emotional, mushy love. That's not his need for him. But recreational friendship is a need for him. So that football thing, you better go and get a jersey. If it's a football guy, go and get a jersey. Write Madame 01 behind it. And watch football with him. Know his club, know what's going on. In fact, give him the news before he gets home that, you've heard that Arsenal has bought this person. He'll be like, what? Who told you? And all that. And so he will talk to you when he sees that you're not stressed. But if he feels, talking to you is, we're going to get into emotional. See, men get depleted emotionally when they do that. That doesn't strengthen them. Space, replenish them. But for women, companionship replenishes them. So both of them need to understand it.
This is life. Sisters, women, go and get your friends. You need to watch this. We're going to go on a short break right now, but so much more life and intensity in fun. You can see how Pasquini is just dropping gems in fun. When we return after this break, we'll be right back. You are welcome back to what has been a most amazing, just the beginning, and already my life has changed. Spending time with Pastor Kingsley Okonkwo, talking about Manual, the way men think. In fact, you actually titled it A Woman's Guide to the Way Men Think. And already you've blown our minds. But just taking something from what you said in the first bit, and you talked about men being depleted emotionally. And in your book, you said men are not expressive. First thing I want to ask, because you wrote it here, you said, especially in this part of the world like Africa, it is almost forbidden for men to talk about their feelings. Please, is there a DNA in the African man that is different from the clay they used to form the other men? I just want to know.
No. The difference is that cultures differ. One of the things that affects us is your cultural upbringing, especially. So for most of the Western world, because they've been into relationship coaching and psychology and all these things for years, so they've gone far. We are catching up. Interestingly, we're doing well. So they've gone far and they've learned how to be expressive. They've learned the power of hugging. They have statistics and surveys for all these things. How important touch, how a child that has not been touched and the one that has been touched, how they both grow, and how one is emotionally imbalanced, the other one is emotionally balanced. So they've done all these things. Culturally, they've learned how to make room for the woman. So women have been able to say, oh, this is what we want. Oh, we want men to be more supportive domestically. We want men to give us quality time. Even the system there favors a woman. If you want to divorce, they will protect the woman. everything is not so, it's not like that here at all. If you want to divorce, the woman is going to pack out and she's going to be left dejected. Opposite. So the culturally, but we're getting better, in all fairness, but we still have a long way to go in terms of catching up. Yes.
So, thank God. That's why your work needs to continue. This ministry got to move on.
Yes.
Very necessary. And in that chapter, I talk about confrontation. And you actually said here that when you are talking to your man, that's not the time. You said, in fact, please note it is not wise to insist on an apology when the fight is still on. Yes. You said most men will consider it a confrontation. Men are warriors. If you confront a man, he will take you as an enemy. Yeah. If you stand by him, he'll take you as an ally. Sorry. Yes. This is in a way where we women, our blood is hot. Yes. When it's in a point, I want to talk about it.
Now. Yes.
Please, how should women balance that? Because it takes a lot to get to that point.
in the instance where he actually carries on talking to you about something else, that one happens a lot. Maybe we have an issue. Maybe he's even the one that even did something bad, and maybe later in the day he's asking you something else or trying to play with you. I tell women that is an apology. But in the eyes of women, like, no, until we come and sit down and say this, I'm sorry. I said no. So in the world of men, that's an apology. So accept that. Then when things are relaxed, let him know that next time when you offend me, I would appreciate you tell me sorry. You see, you drop it when his defenses are down. If you drop it when his defenses are, still high, he's not going to receive what you're going to say. I still talk to men every day, and I still spoke to one last weekend, and he said he's going to do what is wrong, even though he knows what the woman in his life was saying was correct, but he's going to do it because men are egotistical. Men fight for everything they have. So they are warriors. They are not used to play fight. Women like play fight. No play fight when we're fighting, but we know we're not really fighting. We're in love.
Love fight.
Love fight. Men don't have love. Is either men is either love or fight. So if you're coming with fight, confrontation, he's going to be defending, seeing you as an enemy for nothing, even when he knows you are right. But just because he's trying, because men are territorial positionally, women are territorial emotionally, but men are territorial positionally. So he's interested in that. Let me be a man. Even if that being a man means I'm doing something stupid right now, but he's guarding his territory because that position is important to him. That's why men are competitive and all these things. They're into position. Men are emotional when it comes to position. They're just not emotional when it comes to religion. So I see when men win World Cup, win football, win or lose football, they cry. So they're emotional. But they're just emotional in regards to position, not emotional in regards to relationship. So things like that. So if he tells you, let's go and watch football, or like one lady told me, they had a fight and the husband came back later in the day, and the husband knows that she likes suya, so he bought her suya and said, I bought suya for you, and she was like, no, I'm not eating. She was still frowning her face, and the guy ate the suya. I told her that was an apology. You should have collected the suya, laugh with him, then later that night, still tell him that next time, if you offend me, apart from buying this suya, just tell me sorry. Because women like to hear sorry. Women are moved by what they hear, so they need to hear sorry. All right? So in the books where I would coach the men, I would teach them these things, because I'm not saying apologizing is bad. I'm just helping the woman understand that where this man is coming from. All right? Not that apology is great. It took me years to get to where I am today, where I can apologize. No, in the beginning, I was also like the regular guy. I would just laugh with you, play with you. My wife had to keep teaching me that it's important you apologize.
You actually said you don't have to train all the men in the world, but you have to learn how to train your husband. And you give the example of your son, that even your son, as young as he is, does not like saying sorry to his sisters. So it's not like you grew up on something. It's just something. It's a man thing.
Men are terrified by openness. Because we are warriors, as a warrior, you don't leave yourself open. So openness is like weakness, asking for help. So that's why men hate praying with their wives, apologizing, and things like anything that involves openness. It means I'm vulnerable, and vulnerability means weakness in the world of men. So a man can drive around the circle instead of asking for direction, because the moment he sits down and asks somebody else for direction, it means he's agreeing that he's not good enough, he's not, and he wants to please you. You need to understand. The reason why he's trying to be strong is for you. He believes that the world expects him to be strong. And the definition of this strong is what is not defined. So he thinks it means I can't cry. It means he thinks I can't apologize. I can't share my innermost fears or innermost feelings or things. So things like that. So he's used to guarding his emotions. You don't have to let him know that, look, whatever happens, you are still my hero. So that's where the woman comes in. You need to let him know that, what, no matter what happens, you're still my hero. I did a video recently on YouTube, 7 things men want you to know but can't tell you. So one of the things men complain about is that men lie a lot. I said the reason why a man lies to you is because he's afraid of what will happen when he tells you the truth. So I tell women, anytime your husband tells you the truth of something he would normally not tell you, don't act up. Because that's a defining moment.
Yeah.
Now, you can do the drama later, but don't do it there.
Yeah.
Give him the idea that, look, it's okay to confide in
you. If you do the drama inside you.
Yes. Because if you act up, he'll be like, you see?
That's why I don't tell you. And after that, you'll not yet again.
So that's the point. That's the point.
Wow.
Yeah.
But let's talk about men and leading, because there was something you had said when you were speaking. And this particular chapter, things happen in marriages. Things happen. A man might lose his job. A woman becomes the breadwinner. And we see it happen a lot. And what then happens is, depending, women are also very passionate. She's thinking about her husband. She's thinking about her child. She then takes leadership, whether consciously or subconsciously, whether angrily or whatever the case. And you said here, some women have destroyed their families by forcefully taking over the reins of leadership in their homes. In a case where you are married to a man who is given to procrastination, you need to pray that God will help him overcome his weakness, for grace to be patient through the process, and for wisdom to take wise action. And I really noted this because, there's a way you want to pull somebody in. And maybe sometimes it might also be maybe like, what they call that thing? Maybe a firstborn girl marries a last-born guy.
Yes.
That dynamic alone. How should women... Because you're doing it out of love. But it's a hard line to toe sometimes. What advice would you give to a woman who might be watching going through that?
Know how to still honor him. Like my Kudoku said, there's a king and a fool in every man. So it's the one you talk to that will answer you. So even when he seems not to be pulling his weight, learn to still give positive action. What we need to learn as human beings is generally to separate how we feel from what we should do. And they don't have to be the same. People always say...
That should be a book for women.
I'm telling you.
Separate how you feel from what you do.
Yes, because people always think, I must do how I feel. No. I must act how I feel. No. You won't get the best results like that. Sometimes you can feel very frustrated, but you don't have to act frustrated. Sometimes you can feel like, this thing is taking too long, but you don't have to show that, impatience. So still learn to honor him. Still learn to run ideas by him. It's something you learn consciously, not because you feel like, but because, you see, giving him that right of decision, it reminds him of his leadership position. So there's a higher chance he will step up than you are just sidelining him. He will start feeling, I'm useless, they don't even need me here, and all that. It will make him spiral down. And what causes problem in marriage is that when your partner can't depend on you to meet their major needs, then they have to look for someone or somewhere else to meet that need. So this happens both male and female.
Yes.
If the woman feels she's not getting her emotional tank full from her home, very soon she'll get it filled from somewhere else. Same thing with the man. If he feels, that his need to be respected, that his need to be admired is not coming from the home, he will look. That's why most affairs thrive in a relationship where there's natural respect. So secretary, boss, PA, boss, housemaid, boss. Those relationships thrive very well because respect, there's admiration already.
By default.
By default. So men are moved by respect. They are moved by admiration.
In fact, you use the story of David and Abigail. I'd never thought about that story like that. That it was just because of the respect she showed him. So when the husband died, where is that man that respected
David had
me?
never experienced that kind of a thing before. His experiences with women were not like that. So he met a woman that was actually wise. Wow. As in, this woman got there, number one, knelt down, called David Lord like 10 times in that conversation. And apart from that, he didn't appeal to his emotion. Because that's a mistake women make again. Because women are emotional. When they are in a discussion or an argument or whatever, they are trying to appeal to a man's emotion. So they'll say things like, you don't even care about me. You didn't think about me. Men are not like that.
Very true.
Men are not emotional. Even God doesn't talk to men emotionally. God appeals to men logically. Wow. In fact, men are generally selfish, okay?
We're going to get to that, so please speak about that.
So there's no way God will speak to men and tell them, love your wife because to make your wife happy. No. Men can't relate. That doesn't relate. What God will tell a man is, love your wife. It will make you happy. It will make you favored. It will make your prayers not to be hindered. Yes, that's how you talk to men. If you tell men, love your wife because she'll be happy. He doesn't get that. You're trying to appeal to his emotions. He doesn't get that. But you can tell a woman that then because it's to appeal to her emotions. But it doesn't appeal to man's emotions. So Abigail didn't get there and say, oh, don't kill my husband because I don't want to be a widow. If you kill him, I'll be a widow. His children will be orphans. That won't appeal to David. What he told David was that, look, you are too big for this thing you want to do. That you should just stay in your hand. Say, you know you're going to be king. Wow. You know you are going to be king. He spoke to David about David. He didn't speak to David about, oh, if you don't come home, how you benefit. No. And women try to communicate with men. Men are not like that. A man is not moved because you're going to be hot. No.
Hey.
That won't move him. You have to tell him that, look, adultery will destroy your potential, to destroy your future, destroy what God has for you. He can get that.
So how should women develop themselves? And that's something you said in the book, that you need to learn to develop yourself intellectually and not emotionally. What does that really mean?
If you have siblings, you should have already done this. But, you know, if you didn't have siblings that helped you, that means boys, you know, brothers that helped you learn how to have... If you see a house where there's some balance, you'll find that your brothers will be the first people to start teaching you that this is your emotional... This thing won't work all the time. You will learn from your brothers how to be hard because they will give you the hard treatment. They're not going to be pitying you because you're crying. You know? So if you have those balance, great. If you have a father also, you know, that was involved, you know, that could also help you start learning. Then generally, learn from reading a book like this and studying men. You know, that's why it's good to enjoy friendship before you go to relationship. When you have male friends, you know, and this doesn't have to be intimate friendship, kind of just general friendship.
Very true.
You begin to learn how men think. Men make this mistake all the time. Men, you know, their first real close encounter with women is usually in a relationship. So they wonder, what's she talking about? Right. What does she mean? Because they're totally clueless. You know, but if you have those good friendships, you would have learned, oh, my friend liked this when I did it, or my friend complained about this thing. So you start learning that, oh, men like respect. The way you speak to men is even more important than what you're telling them. You know, the way you say it.
Yeah, the tone.
The tone and
the
how
body
you
language.
Everything. So you begin to learn those things and you find out that you're able to carry it into your marriage and just have a better outcome, you know, in the relationship.
Pastor Kingsley, I have no doubt. You've shattered tables. When you say it doesn't care if you are hurt. Even the way you said it, you didn't even care if we will be hurt. Listening to it, I was like, even me, I was hurt, but you don't care. So let me move on. We need to go on a short break now. And when we come back, more on this amazing book, an amazing conversation, Manual, A Woman's Guide to the Way a Man Thinks. We'll be right back. You are welcome back to Chapters, and today we're talking about women understanding men, the way they think, what makes them tick, what they want, what they would like, through the book Manual, written by Pastor Kingsley. And Pastor Kingsley has shattered too many tables. But as we begin to round up this conversation, I want us to talk about some other things that also relate to before marriage. Okay. Yes. The part where you talked about sex in the book, most men want sex and not a relationship. Do not give free sex. These days where sex has even become, it's not even a big deal anymore. Yeah. Like, people don't even see it as a thing. Why did you say this?
Because, interestingly, a lot of struggles people will face in their marriage is going to be tied, you know, around sex. I'm amazed how that they said somebody...
Say that again. A lot of troubles people face in their marriage will be tied around sex. Thanks.
Yeah, people minimize... And what happens is that a lot of people in the marriage don't talk about the challenges, you know, after the fact. They don't... Everybody just goes quiet and just, you know, thinks, oh, this is something I can't share. But most of the problems are rooted, if you check it. There's no free sex. There's nothing like casual sex. Casual sex will always have casualties. There's nothing like casual sex.
Can we shatter this table? Casual sex will always have casualties.
Yes. So it's not free. It's not as harmless as people want to make it look, you know, because what is happening when you're having sex is that two souls are joining. And, you know, especially when you're having with multiple people, by the time you meet your own partner, the way God designed it, your sex life is supposed to be like a plain sheet that will start to be formed, customized to your partner. Excellent. So you have made many imprints, many designs, many molds, different sizes, different styles. Then you want to fit it back
to one person.
To one person. It's never going to give you the perfect. So when a married man tells me things like, or a married man even, that I'm not enjoying sex in my marriage, I say, compared to what? It's because in your mind, you've had some experience you're comparing this sex with. That's why God wants us to stay as virgins before we marry, because whoever you marry is going to be the only experience you have. But today, you see people, comparing different things and, the problems are. So it's better to stay away from sex. God is wise when he says those things. There are 1,000,001 things that can happen, but I don't want to go into the long story. But the baseline is that, every sexual encounter doesn't leave you the same. So it will affect whoever you marry and how you interact with that person you marry, whether you will enjoy sex in your marriage, whether you won't be able to be intimate, and because intimacy is not just physical, with the person. It's a different challenge because of your sexual experiences. And men don't treat all women the same. So a man learns from you what he can do to you. A
man learns from you what he can do to you. Please explain that.
Yes, so you see the same man meet one woman, treat her like trash. That same man meets another woman and respects her, because the other one is not going to take some things that are down. If a man tells you, oh, come and spend the night in my house, if you say, okay, you're coming, he'll be like, wow. He never thought. That's how it works. He doesn't know for sure.
Very true.
What you're going to say. So it's your standards that determine what you... And women need to learn that. That, yes, you set the standards. Men like to be challenged. So, but women think, because in a woman's world, the nicer you are to a woman, the more she's responsive to you. So she wants to carry the same thing to a man and think, if I do a lot of things for me, he will like me. No. Opposite. Set standards for him. If he can't, only two things can happen. If he likes you, he will rise to that standard. If he doesn't like you, he will not rise to that. And that is good for you. You don't want a man that doesn't like you anyway.
Preach.
So don't lower your standards for him. Increase your standards. Men like to challenge. And most men have great potential in them. And they just don't find enough women that can challenge them to be better.
To bring that thing out.
That's why I see when a man really likes a woman, and even if he doesn't, if a woman is a church-going woman, for instance, even if he doesn't start going to church, he will pretend at least. So a lot of people that have gotten saved follow the woman to church.
It's true.
Yeah. If a man likes you, that's how you would know. Because men are hunters. They're not going to give up if they really like you. If they give up, that's a sign. That's a telltale sign. He doesn't just think you are worth the stress.
Wow.
So that's just what happens. He's communicating already. But most of women don't give up. Women just think, oh, I can motivate. No. Set the standard. Oh, if you believe in no sex for marriage, let that be your standard. Anybody that can't meet that, anybody that wants to, then that's not the person for you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Carry your bag. Tell him to take his bag and go.
So men don't treat all women the same. Yes.
You wrote here, this thing you just said, you actually wrote here, most women have no idea how gifted and powerful they are. You said, I usually tell women that your entrance into a man's life should move him into his kingship.
Yes.
Because a woman is a carrier of favor. You are that powerful. I'm sorry, I'm actually excited as I'm reading that.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing. Hey, women. So we are the ones that actually shortchange ourselves. Somehow... we think they are the ones shortchanging us.
Not all. They are learning from you what can happen, what can't happen. Like when people travel abroad or travel to certain countries, same person that's throwing trash from a car here, when he gets there, he can't. He won't do it. People change. As a counselor and a therapist, that's our first issue. Can people change? And the question is that people can change if they have to. I've seen people move from driving on one side of the road to driving on the other side of the road because they move from Nigeria to UK. But if you tell the guy here, can you just learn how to drive? He will say, no, I can't. People change when they have to. So don't compromise.
Thank you, sir. that was mind-blowing. And, the truth is, like we said, in this day and age, the world makes you think differently. Yes. The world makes you think these things don't matter. And I actually wanted you to share it, not necessarily from a God said Christian standpoint, but to actually give that explanation. So you don't think we're just coming here to give dogma. Don't have sex before marriage but for understanding's sake, it is powerful. And women, we are powerful, which will even take me to sometimes as well, we say society, social, economic status, poverty. You talked about this in the book, make your money.
Oh, definitely. Because that helps you hold your standard.
Thank you.
You can't hold whoever is controlling the money controls the standard. If you don't have money, if you don't have sustenance, a lot of women stay in a bad relationship and a bad marriage is because they can't leave. Not because they don't want to leave. It's because they can't leave. You can't even, some women, if they go on a date and it's not going well, they can't even go home. They can't call a cab because that guy has to pay their transport.
Jesus.
So that reduces your value the moment you need. You see, a man should take care of you not because he has to, but because he wants to. So that's how it should work. Submission is not because I don't have a choice. Submission is for strong women, not for weak women. If you're already weak, then you can't teach submission. You are already on the ground. Yes.
Force. But submission is I have that power and I choose.
Put it down to follow you. That's what submission is.
I think we should just end it here. At this point in time, but let's talk about this, the gift of perfection. And you said women have a tendency to look for a problem where there is none. And I want you to talk about this because sometimes a lot of people need freedom in that area.
Yes, it's just the way women's minds are wired, you know. And part of what I did in this book is to try to help women even understand themselves.
Yes.
Because you can't even be happy if you don't understand yourself. So the way a woman's mind is wired, women compare themselves to the best. Men compare themselves to the worst. So if a woman is in a neighborhood and finds out, oh, my neighbor's children are going to another school, and she asks, oh, how much is the school fees there is higher? And say, who are the people there? And find out it looks higher. A woman wants to change her children's school to that higher school. If a woman sees something that looks better and says, oh, I like this family, they go on vacation, I want to go on vacation. She always compares herself to the best. A man, on the other hand, compares himself to the worst because he's looking for position, ego, what to make him look good. So if you tell a man, you're coming home 11 p.m., that's late. He'll say, am I not better than Mr. John that sleeps outside? He'll compare himself to the worst case scenario. So because of that, women have that perfectionist mindset. So sometimes if a woman has a husband that is 80% good, she will not focus on the 80% good. She will focus on that 20%. Because that's how she's wired, for perfection. She will focus on the 20% that is not working. And that will make her unhappy. Meanwhile, what she should be doing is to be thanking God for the 80% that is working. Because like the way a bed is, if a bed is scattered and there's just one small space for a man to lie down and sleep, a man is going to lie down on that place and sleep. He's able to detach from the... But a woman, if the whole bed is scattered and she can't sleep. She needs the whole bed to be set because her mind works holistically. She can't separate things like that. She needs everything to work together. So she needs to just learn to find the good. If your husband is not behaving well, there's nobody that is doing everything bad at the same time. So look for something to praise him about because men like praise. Praise him about, oh, you're a good father, you're a good provider, or you're a good whatever. Just praise it. Now, like I said, you must learn how to do things even when you don't feel like it. That's how to get results. Our feelings are real, but they're not always right. So you don't have to be subject to your feeling at all the time. Your feelings can change. That's the thing. So when you want to make your feeling the what controls you, it will change. So instead, start appreciating what he's doing well. That there's even more chance of him change. He will get used to your admiration. Like I said, men like admiration. They like praise. He will get used to it. And he will look for those areas where he's not doing well and start doing it. Just be persistent about focusing on his good. You will see that very soon, even him will feel so bad that he's not meeting up in those areas and he will start doing it. But you see, that's hard for women to do because women want to focus on what is not working.
It's like you read it in my mind.
They want to focus on what is not working, but you see, that will give you unhappiness because at every point in time, there might be something that is not going as perfectly as you want it. But you need to understand, just because it's not perfect doesn't mean it's not good, and doesn't mean it can't become good. You know, so you must learn to be happy where you are, find the good where you are, and praise. You know, give a lot of praise for what is going on well. Women marry a man hoping he will change. A man marries a woman hoping she will not change. And the two always happens because the man, when you now marry him, he doesn't want to change. Because all the while you accepted him the way he was when you were dating him, he assumed this is all is going to be required of me. Then you get married, you want him to now start doing things he was not doing before. And it's so like, where did all this one start from?
Like this.
You know, because he too was hoping that you two will remain this way.
You'll
be more demanding. Exactly. But most women are trading also. They are saying, let us marry.
Then when we marry,
I'll share my needs. You know, so that's what happens. So they both shock each other most times.
This is so interesting. Let's talk about infidelity.
This one is also very controversial and annoys a lot of women, but it's the fact. All right, the statistics, most of what I share are usually based on scripture, science, and statistics. All right, so most of what I share, I can give you backup from any angle. That's why if I'm in a church setting that's not even a church setting, I can give you enough scientific and statistical proof for what I'm saying if I don't want to use scripture. But me, I prefer to use scripture because that's the beginning of everything.
Yes.
You know, but statistics and everything shows that men are generally more sexual, you know, than women. Not that women don't enjoy sex. The difference is that women enjoy sex with one partner. Women enjoy multiple sex with one partner. Men enjoy sex with multiple partners.
Multiple sex with multiple partners.
Yes. So scientifically, it has been proven that a man can have sex more times if he's having it to different people.
Wow.
Yes. So a man that can't have sex with his wife more than once in 1 hour can have sex 3 times in 1 hour if there are 3 different women. You know, so all this starts to show all this.
Wow.
So scientifically shows that men can enjoy sex with multiple people. But how many times have you seen a woman marry more than one husband at the same time? It's rare. Because women enjoy security. Yeah, women don't enjoy that, I have 10 men in the same house. They are all my husband. No, that's not how she's just wired. Now, this doesn't mean women don't cheat. This doesn't mean women, but most times when a woman is cheating, except for people that have been abused or have a serious emotional problem, the normal woman, if she's cheating, is because something is broken somewhere that is making her to cheat. Maybe she's not getting that emotional love. Yeah. So what she's even looking for is more emotional connection than the sex. There are many women in emotional relationships that are not yet physical. Many married women in emotional relationships after their marriage, but it's not yet physical. But they're enjoying the emotional, the attention, the care, because that's the real need for a woman. Not that they don't enjoy sex. So most times they trade. So what happens is that women trade sex to get emotional attention. Men trade emotional attention to get sex. So that's what happens.
We are really on two different
Totally two different beings. Totally different. So if you understand all these factors, so everything shows that men are generally more sexual in terms of all that. So it takes discipline and the God factor for a man to understand that, okay, it's important for me to stay faithful, to my partner. It's important. That's what it takes. So yes, it happens. And there are things you can do to guard against infidelity. There are things to do even after the fact. But the question that are men like that, yes, men are more prone to, promiscuity sexually than women.
For a woman watching this who has gone through infidelity and who is in pain, what would your advice be to her?
She definitely would need to talk to a counselor or a therapist because it takes somebody that understands the pain that you have gone through. It is hard for men to understand how damaging it can be for women. So a counselor and a therapist will help. If both of them can even go for counseling, that's great because that man needs to understand the impact of this action. Men don't get it sometimes. That's the honest truth.
And you said that in your book, and I was in shock.
They don't
that
get
he
it.
Can't even understand how he has hurt you.
Yes, he doesn't get the full, picture. So he'll keep saying, let's move on, I've apologized. Like, he'll keep saying things like, he doesn't understand that, look, this is not something she can even get over in a few years. He can't get it. So a good counselor, a good therapist, in the case where the man is not interested in counseling or therapy, then the woman needs to do it alone so that she can process her pain, heal from it, and see if there are ways to prevent this from happening. And sometimes there's nothing you can do about the other person's actions because infidelity is never about the woman. Most times women blame themselves. Yes. Maybe something I'm not doing right. No, usually not that. Hardly does a man cheat because something is not available in his marriage. No. It's because he just wants that variety. It's not because something is not available. All right. Hardly. All right. So women should stop blaming themselves when a man cheats. Men cheat because men want to cheat. Not because they have to cheat, not because they can cheat. They're just doing it because they want to do it. So detach yourself from the event. Don't blame yourself and say, I'm not good. Because women generally struggle with self-esteem. So everything that happens, the woman says, I'm not good enough. It's because of me. I didn't do what I'm supposed to do. It's her natural default way of thinking. In fact, this is even why women enter bad relationships. Because most women would rather have a bad relationship than no relationship. Because a woman battles the sense of insecurity and she needs to get that sense of security from God and from discovering herself. She should stop depending on a man.
And you said here, in talking about forgiveness, you said forgive your husband. You are not forgiving him because he deserves to be forgiven. Yes. You are forgiving him because you deserve to heal. Yes. And there is no healing without forgiveness.
Yes.
And then you also said, pray for your husband. Until you can pray for your husband, you have not really forgiven him.
Yes. Yeah, so people don't understand that forgiveness is not about the offender. Never about the offender. Always about the offended. So when you drag and argue about forgiveness, it shows you don't understand it. You think God wants to be nice to the offender. No, God is trying to help you. Because anytime you hold on to a grudge, your hands are full. You need to let go so that you can get compensation. Because your hands if you're holding on to a grudge, you're holding something. So there's something in your hand already. So if God wants to put something else, he can't put it on the grudge. You need to let go of the grudge so that he can bless you. He can heal you. He can bring comfort to you. And that thing you are carrying in your heart is powerful because you are still holding it. Yeah. Unforgiveness is like drinking poison and hoping that the person that offended you will get hurt. No, you are the one with the poison. In fact, sometimes people that have hurt you have moved on. Sometimes people that have hurt you don't even know they've hurt you. So it's not about whether they apologize or whether they admit. If they admit, that's great. But even if they don't, forgiveness is... And on that thing, some people confuse forgiveness with feeling like forgiving. Like I said,
you feel it.
Yes, you would never feel like forgiving. No,
you will just separate.
You will separate the two. The pain will take time. You won't soon disappear. You can't even forget it because some people say you must forgive and forget. No, There's some things you will not forget. If a trailer hits you, you're not going to forget it. There's no way you're going to forget it. You're going to be walking bent to one side. You ain't going to forget it in a lifetime, but you can forgive the driver. So it's different. So people say you must forgive and forget. No, you must forgive. You just have to be able to master how you process when you remember. You must know what to do with the thoughts when it comes. When it comes, you must learn how to give it back to God. You must learn how to ask for help. You must learn how to have a good support system that you can vent. And the more you vent, you find out that the thing loses power over you. But if you keep it, it means it's still existing, it's still powerful, it's still fresh. So that's what you do. It's what you do with the thoughts. Not that you will not remember. There's no such thing. How won't you remember? If it was something very important that happened or something very big that happened, you're going to remember. You'll never forget. That's not going to happen.
Pastor Kingsley.
Yes.
Thank you. On a final note, after we have said many things, what is the final advice you would tell to my species?
Yes. Women are powerful. You know, sometimes I really wish I could sit with them for hours and hours and tell them how powerful they are and how we see them. The average man respects you until you start disrespecting yourself. All right, that's what happens.
Bam.
Yes, he's learning from you what can go and what can't go. He's learning from you what he can do and what he can't do. Women should know how powerful they are. You need to study it. Unfortunately, that's even a woman's biggest challenge, you know, appreciating herself and learning how beautiful she is, how great she is, how perfect. You see, when God said it's not, God made everything on the earth. I said it was good, it was good, it was good. But when he made man, he said it's not good. For the first time, God said something is not good. And that's a big deal. This is God. He said it's not good. And God said, I'm going to fix it. And he said, I'm going to fix it by making a woman. So this world is going around because of women. Without women, this world would be a messed up place. It's a place that none of us want to be. So the women were the ones he created to fix what he felt wasn't good. He said, it's not good for man to be alone. He said, what am I going to do about this? I'm going to bring a woman. So he loaded you guys with all the things we didn't have, loaded with all the things we will even need that we don't even know yet. He loaded it in a woman, you know, and brought her to Adam. So if you can value yourself like that and refuse to go with any man that doesn't see that value in you. Yes, you are not waiting for a perfect man, but the man must at least respect you, must at least honor you, must at least see value in you. You know, stop relating with men that don't value you. Stop accepting and learn to build your life outside of a man.
Yes.
Because what women don't realize is that if you're looking for a life partner, you need a life. You know, you need a life. You know, so a man will actually admire you better when you don't need him.
Hey!
You know, so don't be needy.
Yeah, that's again.
Yes.
When you don't need him,
yes,
he's gonna need you.
Yes. Because a woman make it look like, oh, you know, without a man in my life, I'm nothing. No. You need to build your life. Have something going in your life so that whether a man comes or not, you know, you have something you're doing with your life. A man will love it. You know, this is what puts strains on men in relationship because the woman, when a woman comes, she wants him to call every day, talk every day.
You turn him into your life.
And he's like, he's choked. He's choked. He's like, he doesn't even have enough time to miss you because you're always in the picture. But when you have a lot you're doing with your life, he's the one like, he has not heard from you in a while. Oh, what's happening today? I've not heard from you today. What are you doing? So he's, I'm in a shoot. I'm doing a shoot to Pastor Kingsley. Oh, good. Oh, I've not heard from you. So I'm attending this meeting. You know, he'll be thrilled to even talk with you. But if every minute you're sending a message, you've not called me, you've not called me, he will start avoiding you. He will see your call and be like, hey, she has called again. You know, so don't ever let it get to that stage. Always have a life. You know, always have a life with or without a man. And even when you do marry and have a man, give him good doses of attention, but still have a life because he can't be in your space at every minute. You need to have something else distracting you from thinking about where is he now? What's he doing now? Let me check. No. Give him some fresh air. He likes his space. Men need space.
We can end it on that note. Men need space. Pastor Kingsley, you have been you can see my mind, light bulbs, pa 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 pa. Where can people get copies of this book? Okay,
if you are in Nigeria, you can get it from our website, www.ldmwithpk.org. If you're abroad, you can get it from Amazon. Just search manual on Amazon, and yeah, you can get it.
Guys, this book is life, and Pastor Kingsley has a YouTube page.
Yes.
Pastor
Kingsley Okonkwo.
Kingsley Okonkwo, please. Yeah. What he has said today, he has several videos where he has broken down not like chapters, but everything in this book. Too many videos. You know, one of the things we started with is the need to be trained. That cannot be overemphasized. Like listening to you, I've listened to you several times. I've read this book. And today, again, I'm just like, wow. I wish I knew this 10,000 years ago. So you are amazing. What you do is amazing. It is needed and it is light. And I want to thank you for coming and sharing your light.
Thank you. I had such a good time.
Thank you. I had a mind-blown time. Thank you so much, sir. I want to thank you all for watching today. I know that line he said, the average man respects you until you start disrespecting yourself, is so powerful. Women, men watching, this episode is for everyone, because I'm sure even as a man, you can learn something from this, and as a woman, you can learn something from this as well. God created us to coexist in peace, complementing one another, and we can only do that successfully when we understand one another better. So I'm sure that this episode has sown a deeper seed of understanding in you, and there's so many resources out there with Pastor Kingsley Okonkwo, his wife, Pastor Mildred, as well, who speaks about the other side of the coin. So please, everybody needs to learn. It's not only us that we learn. Thank you bunch. On this note, I want to say thank you for watching Chapters. But remember, guys, it's not about what you know, but what you do with what you know. And until the next episode, God bless you. Goodbye.